fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, our weekly update for the region in this first weekend of April 2020. We'll start this week the same as we've started the last couple of weeks and give you some news that I think you need in order to fish through this COVID-19 crisis here throughout the country, not just here in the Northeast. But first, as we reported on Facebook on Tuesday, catch and release trout season is open in the state of New Jersey. Now, it was supposed to start on April 11th, but we found out during the Tuesday press briefing with Governor Phil Murphy, Catherine McCabe, the DEP Commissioner, she jumped on and said that catch and release trout fishing in stocked waters here in the Garden State is officially open as of Wednesday, April 1st. Of course, you need a license, you need a trout stamp, and you can't keep any of these fresh stocked trout, not until late April 11th. But it is catch and release only. Very important to keep your distance from other anglers. And in fact, the commissioner and the Murphy administration made it very clear that it is okay to fish solo, close to home, with family, husbands, wives, kids, but no mugging. Keep a rod's length between yourself and other anglers. Certainly don't clog a spot. I think that's one of the things we're finding out too, is folks are allowed to fish, but some of the spots that have been clogged up, some of the parks and bulkheads have actually been shut down because people are elbow to elbow. But again, as of April 1st, you can get out and enjoy some catch and release trout season action here in the Garden State. Now, the same is being said in other states in the region as well. Pennsylvania, for example, where social distancing is being strongly encouraged by the Fish and Boat Commission there in that state. Delaware as well, suggesting 3 striped bass distance between all anglers. Obviously, the folks in Delaware have never seen my striped bass, the ones that I catch. That's more like a 6 striped bass distance. Delaware has also announced an early opening to their trout season. That's underway in the first state. And in an effort to distribute pressure, the enforcement officers there are monitoring angler activity along some of these streams. So they don't want to see clogs, and they will let people know. But again, that's very, very important this time through this COVID-19 and the coronavirus, is to keep as much distance between yourself and others, especially those you don't know. Delaware also said this week that out-of-state anglers traveling into Delaware to fish must self-quarantine for 14 days. So that's something to keep in mind, and we've been talking about it in the other editions as well. Toby Lipinski, our New England editor, he's faced with some serious restrictions up in Rhode Island. They've even talked about going door to door for folks that are coming in out of state. Each state, including New York, has its own different set of rules and restrictions and exemptions for tackle shops in terms of furnishing bait and gear. Here in New Jersey, I am still hoping middle of this week and heading into this first weekend of April to see some type of relief and some type of exemptions. So we're sticking close to social media and watching the press conferences every day. You can find out more information at covid19.nj.gov. In fact, retail businesses not deemed essential, found this week, may continue, quote unquote, delivery and online operations. They just can't maintain physical contact with the public. So if they have a brick and mortar, you can't have those people coming into the stores, but you can do, quote unquote, delivery and online operations. Again, consult with covid19.nj.gov. You can figure out which of these businesses in the Garden State are essential. But in terms of finding bait and tackle, it is a pretty gray area right now. Again, stay tuned to the Fisherman magazine social media accounts, thefisherman.com, and our Facebook page. As soon as we find out more information, we will. But of course, with trout season officially open here in the Garden State, most tackle shops are really focused. They should be focused on bait at this time. Night crawlers for trout, bloodworms for striped bass and winter flounder, and of course, green crabs for tog. It seems to me that credit card orders by phone and a curbside delivery or curbside pickup would make a lot of sense. So hopefully we'll hear something in the next couple of days as the New Jersey State Police Superintendent continues to make some rulings on what essential business is and means, and what some of these other businesses, including our bait and tackle shops, may be able to do to continue to offer businesses and services for anglers while also continuing to maintain social distancing. Now, the beaches, for example, another reason why to stay in tune with social media. Check those municipal websites, because a lot of beaches along the Jersey Shore have been closed. And I think most of it is an emphasis to try to keep people from coming in. They've got some time. They're coming in with their families. They're trying to keep those beaches free, especially for folks that are coming from long distances to come to the beaches. So again, check those municipal beaches, those municipal websites and social media accounts before you decide that you want to go plugging along the beach. Now, Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle in Brigantine, he said earlier this week those beaches were still open. In fact, 11-year-old Paul Lavinia, he hit the south end of Brigantine with his grandpa Paul for about a dozen shorties earlier this week. So definitely some of those short stripers are coming in along the beaches. But in terms of finding those bigger striped bass, of course, things are really turning on with those pre-spawn stripers up along the Raritan Bay, especially with the boaters and the kayakers getting in on the bite in some of those secret locations. Mike Velez let me know he hit a bunch of overs this week on swim shads and metal lips. 40 to 48 inch fish. He said 20 to 30 pound fish. Could be more, but I'm sure some of those big fish are up there. It's just a matter of prospecting to find them. And again, don't mug somebody else. If you're getting on some of those fish, got to keep those social distances. I heard on Friday from Just Saying Sport Fishing's captain John Cantello. He reported dozens of fish in the 20 to 30 pound class up on Raritan Bay. Biggest one for him at that point was 31 pounds. Now, many of the local captains, of course, are not running charters in the Garden State because of the COVID-19 crisis, but they are, a lot of them when we talked to over the weekend, they're going out personally, doing a little bit of prospecting. A lot of those captains that aren't running charters right now, they're going to continue to fish, find where those fish are, and they're going to continue to give us some reports for thefisherman.com. Remember, as of April 1st, this week, those bass over 38 inches, 38-inch and over striped bass have to be released. That's the new regulation that's in place. Remember, New Jersey, 28 to less than 38 inches. In Delaware, you're 28 to 35. New York, you're 28 to less than 35. Another big fish stretch, of course, is down along the Delaware River, where those big spawning stripers are coming up the Delaware to spawn in the upper stretches of the Delaware. There are some big fish down there, plenty of smaller fish in the mix as well. As I heard from the Cochia boys, you remember him, the father was on the cover with a massive fish last week, but still practicing social distance with the kids and getting out and enjoying some of that action. Don't forget, that stretch from the Salem River and all those tributaries of the Salem all the way up to the Calhoun Street Bridge in Trenton, that's officially closed to striped bass harvest during the spawn. That goes from April 1st all the way until June 1st. And of course, you're going to have a circle hook restriction if you're fishing along that stretch for any other species as well. Now, in between those mighty spawning rivers, the Delaware and the Raritan, you have bass along the sod banks. And there are a few good-sized fish to pick up in there as far as those dinner-sized stripers. A 29-incher on bloodworm here for Jose Ponce. He checked in with me earlier this week. Again, you may have to work the phones a bit to pick up some of those bloodworms. I hear there are a few linesiders being caught out in Pennsylvania, though, as well, where they do have some different restrictions as far as getting the stuff that you need to go fishing. But here with more on the Pennsylvania side of things, my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. I hope everybody's out being safe and being responsible and getting out and doing a little fishing while we work through these headlines. Just a couple of changes I want to bring to your attention with the changes with the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat. In the tidal Delaware, there are some changes coming April 1st. We had to go ahead and use circle hooks only anytime we're using bait in the tidal Delaware. That's going to make it a lot easier to release these fish as we hook them up. So hopefully that is good for the fishery as well. Also, Pennsylvania, with the COVID virus, have made some big changes. They are no longer allowing guides and charters in Pennsylvania waters. They deem these activities as unnecessary and trying to stem the spread of the virus. So no guides or charters. If you are looking to get on that shad trip or hit the Susquehanna for a smallmouth guide, we're going to have to wait a little bit, guys, but hang in there. Also, the state has changed the opening of trout season. Instead of having a regional opening early, they're having one opening. The Mentored Youth opens on April 11th, and the statewide opening is April 18th. Again, there's no early regional opening. It's just one opening for the entire state, so make note of that, guys. Now, some other guys are catching fish. A good friend, Eric Goodstall, sent me a note getting on some beautiful crappies. Pink and white marabou jigs is getting it done. So there's a great little a fishery if you guys want to get out and get on a quick bite. And they're great table fare, too. Also, finally, that sweetwater striper bite is starting to turn on. Here's my son Jeremy getting out on a nice one here. And also another angler, TJ Zeller's, getting out on a beautiful striper. Both of these are sweetwater. These are not saltwater fish, so these are in the lakes here. So if you guys know where there's any striper stock, be sure you get out and get on them. Now also the shad bite. There's plenty of shad in the river, but unfortunately the cooler temperatures we've had have slowed that bite down just a little bit. So hopefully in the next couple days that water will warm up and we can get back on that. As we said last time, guys, be safe, be responsible, but get out, go fish, enjoy the outdoors, but keep that distance. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
Of course, in addition to winter flounder and striped bass and these catch and release trout, you've also got blackfish officially open for the month of April. That started April 1st. 4-fish bag limit through the end of the month. Though, as George alluded to, for hire operators, charter and party boats really just aren't operating through this crisis. And that's the same in every state. I have not heard any positives as far as charter boats and party boats being able to operate through this crisis. But I got to tell you, it's starting to feel a little bit like the Christmas break that never ended. You know, the family comes in for the big event, Christmas dinner, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, you're stuck. It's just the way it's happening. But I got to tell you, you can get out. It's been made very clear. As long as you're social distancing, as long as you're practicing those precautions, staying with family, staying tight to one another if you're family, but staying your distance from others, I think that you can actually really get out and enjoy yourself. And that's what the governor has seemed to say this week. I'm making a little lemonade myself with my daughter Sam with some illicit baits along a very secret stretch of sod bank just the other day. My thanks and appreciation has to go out. While some of us are talking about being cooped up inside and trying to get out and enjoy it, I gotta say thanks to those folks who have been deemed essential: police, medical workers, those folks in the food industry, food production, of course grocery stores, supermarkets, and always those firefighters. This is a serious time that we're in. We're trying to take the most serious precautions, but I do want to thank those folks that are putting themselves on the front line. God bless you for all that. Kick back and enjoy reading this week, our April edition of the Fisherman magazine. You subscribers, you have that copy hopefully on your desk at this point. The April edition is loaded. We made some quick adjustments at the end last week to try to modify some things because of this COVID-19, but also we're going to be starting back up again with those weekly editions. But as you heard from Mike Caruso recently, we've shared that in the last couple of weeks, we're not going to print because of this crisis. So you're going to have to log in and get those editions online. If you want a little bit more instruction, my good friend Tim Smith, who does our New York reports, he's got a great little tip here to share with you in terms of logging in, creating that user account, and getting all that great information from thefisherman.com that you need. I'll leave you with Tim until next week. Catch him up.
To view the magazine online, the first thing you need to do is set up a user account if you don't have one already on thefisherman.com. Click on subscriptions, then click Create User Account. Fill in the info as it appears on your mailing label of your magazine. Then click Find Subscription and complete by entering your email address and assigning a password. Now you're all set to view the digital editions. You can find the digital version of the magazine by clicking on Magazine, then Current Digital Editions, select your edition you would like to view, then click on the red box Already a Subscriber, then enter your email and password. Next, click on View Edition, and the magazine will load in your browser. If you need to zoom in, select the magnifying glass on the bottom. You can also pinch and zoom on devices that support touchscreens. If you have any issues, you can always call the Fisherman at 866-347-4836 or email us at info@thefisherman.com.